Well, hello, ladies and gents. Robert Sikes, KetoSavage.com. And today I've got special guest, repeat guest for I don't know how many times now, my lovely wife, Crystal Sikes. And this is the second trimester podcast video. It's going to be on the podcasting platform. It's also going to be on YouTube if you want to watch it instead. But we talk about our second trimester experience. Covered some pretty interesting stuff. Changes in her diet, changes in her training, changes in how she feels, looks, etc., etc. Checkups with the baby, how the baby's growing, and just some things that we're excited about as far as the home birth is concerned. So thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. As always, talking with my wife. She's amazing. Hopefully you'll take something from this if you're pregnant yourself or know someone that is, or just curious about what's going on behind the curtain in our lives. So thank y'all for tuning in and enjoy the conversation. How you doing, babe? We're live.
Wow, what an intro.
What an intro. You doing all right?
Yeah, that was really your intro.
I can't hear you. Hold on.
Oh.
Say something now.
Audio. Oh, yep, I can
There
hear
we go.
myself now, too.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Awesome. Very, very organized intro here. So this is our second trimester video / podcast. You are recording this on Tuesday. Tomorrow is our official 28-week mark.
Mm-hmm.
So that's technically the end. That's the beginning of the third trimester?
Yes.
Depending on who you ask?
Yeah, depending on who you ask. It's either the 27th or 28th week, and I'm one that's like, I'm going to push it off an extra week. Otherwise, I get too excited, and then someone's going to burst my bubble and tell me that it was actually 28 weeks. So I say 28 weeks and not 27.
I like it. What all did we cover on the first trimester video so we don't overlap too much?
I know.
We talked about the name on the first trimester video, right? Or did we not?
We did a gender reveal.
We didn't talk about the name?
We did a gender reveal one.
Podcast?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because that was at week 20.
Yeah, so we've done the first trimester, a gender reveal, and now this is the second trimester.
Yep.
Cool. So you're about 28 weeks in. You are showing. You got a bump.
Yeah, you almost just said big.
You got quite the baby bump there.
Yeah.
And he's a moving and a grooving every single morning now. I put my hand on your belly, and he's just like today, he was like tripping me out. He was definitely, he was doing jumping jacks in there or something.
Yeah, usually when I'm at home, like when we're at home, I'll usually just walk out with my belly out, or like be sitting there and I just lift up my shirt or pull down my pants. It just gets really uncomfortable wearing clothes. So I usually have my belly out, and then I always tell Robert, I'm like, look at it, look. Like you can see him moving now, so it's just funny.
Yeah.
But every time I say look, I want him to visually see what's going on, and he ends up just throwing his hand on there. I'm like, just look at it.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, it's like our whole relationship, it's always just been you and me, and I guess Jack, if we're really being generous. But now it's you, me, Jack, and the baby. So it's like there's always another person hanging around us.
Yep.
We were doing squats this morning, and I had him spotting me instead of you.
Practically.
So what have you noticed with the second trimester that is different from the first trimester? First of all, the first trimester, we talked about this obviously on that first trimester video, but you had a little bit of morning sickness for like weeks 4 through 8.
It was 6 through 10, I think.
6 through 10. So only a 4-week span, only in the mornings, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
And you haven't really had any issues at all second trimester from like a sickness standpoint. You've been tired.
Yeah. I think second trimester has been a lot easier. It was just like I had like a spurt of energy as soon as the second trimester hit, and then I started to get a little bit more tired, and then right at the end of the second trimester, I also got another little spurt, and I've been feeling really good for like the last week, like just feeling like I got all the energy. I want to do all the things. Like at nighttime, there's been several nights where I'm like not ready to go to bed, or I'll wake up in the middle of the night and like, okay, it's time to be awake, and it's definitely not. So definitely have a little bit more energy.
But that's a pretty new thing, I feel like. Up until now, you've been very lackluster from an energy standpoint.
Yes. Yeah, that's been a little bit difficult. Like it's been hard for me because you have all of these people telling you what to do. They say, just take it easy. You're pregnant. You should take it easy. Don't worry about doing too much. And then you live with Robert, who doesn't stop ever. And so you feel like you have to go all the time. And that's kind of our star life. It's been like super, it's been stressful. It's been crazy a little bit lately. It's just, we've been just kind of going. So it's been hard because I don't want to allow myself to take a break. But at the same time, I'm just so tired that it's hard for me to not take it easy,
Well, I feel like it's not like you've been, incapable of doing your day-to-day stuff. You've done everything. Like you get up, you train, you do the work.
Shout out to Robert though, because I've definitely been slower at things like the house stuff, like the house cleaning. Like Robert's been a freaking pro at putting away the dishes and like loading the dishwasher and doing the laundry. And
I hate folding clothes.
He does not put away the laundry ever. So there will just be like 5 loads of clean laundry that I have to put away, but at least they're clean.
Yeah, I hate hanging up shirts. It's like my nemesis.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like, but you've been on top of all your training. It's not like it's not like you've allowed yourself to talk yourself out of training.
Yeah.
Days on end. Like I feel like a lot of people do when they are more tired, and you haven't had that at all. Even if you go in and just simply get some mobility work done, you're still going in and getting some movement in.
Yeah. I don't think there's been a day that I didn't work out.
Yeah. You were doing deadlifts the other day, and you were still pulling. What were you pulling? Nothing too crazy, but.
Yeah, I can't remember. That's something that we should talk about for sure, because people have all the opinions about what you should do when you're weightlifting and you're pregnant.
Well, yeah, they a lot of them just say don't do any heavy lifting.
Yeah, so there's certain. I think people are progressing though. If you've been active, you can continue being active. It's funny to me how many people think that you just stop or you need to slow down significantly. People who are actually active and doctors who have active patients usually say about 60% of your maximum effort is what you should maintain, which I do feel like maybe I've been giving a little more than 60%, which is probably attributing to me being a little bit more tired, but I feel pretty good in the gym. Like the second trimester, I've felt pretty good. So I've just been kind of doing my workouts, and my upper body strength is totally the same. Same thing with like lower body, except for my compound lifts. Those have definitely gone down. My hips are.
But also, your whole leverage point has changed.
Yeah.
So like all of your technique from like a deadlifting and squat standpoint, where you're used to certain pivot points, like that's all changed because you're off kilter now from like you got a baby sticking out in front of your belly that you're not normally used to having there.
Yeah.
So all of your leverage points have changed. I don't feel like you've really lost muscle and strength so much as you've just not been able to acclimate to the changes in your leverage points, which makes lifting as heavy as normal not really as feasible.
Yeah. And I also don't like, it isn't super safe to like keep going as heavy as possible. So I've also kind of given myself a little grace with that as well. But things like even bench press, like Chip and I are going to film a video here in the near future of adjustments that I've had to make to my workouts since being pregnant. And really, I have not changed a whole lot, but there are a few things. But for instance, like bench press, I keep my legs on the bench rather than keeping my legs on the ground. That's a completely different lift. Like it feels completely different, even though you're still doing a bench press. The arch in your back is different. You don't have the power in your legs as you normally would do. And you think, well, Crystal, it's a chest exercise. But if you're actually doing the movement properly, you're going to use some of your the strength in your glutes, hamstrings. Your feet are going to be planted on the ground, things like that. I don't have that anymore, so I feel like you're right. It's like the technique that I normally use, I can't use it anymore because my belly's in the way, or I can't lay that way, or I can't stand that way, or whatever. So
yeah. So you've been tracking what's the app that you're using to track pregnancy weight? It's just the normal scale app?
It's the HealthMate.
HealthMate?
Yeah. So
it just syncs with the scale that we have. We have the Withing scale. Mm-hmm. Your starting weight was 137?
Yep.
And then your current weight is?
it fluctuates day by day, but I'm like 158-ish.
And that's about what that app says that you should be in from a weight gain standpoint.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I don't feel like you've gained any excessive weight or circumference size anywhere throughout your body except for your midsection, obviously. I feel like everything else looks pretty normal.
Yeah, there was a few weeks there that I was feeling pretty fluffy. I was feeling like I could really see it in my cheeks and in my neck and like my arm. Everything just looked real puffy.
Your boobs have gotten a little bigger. That's normal though, I suppose, right?
Yeah. I was feeling puffy. But then it started to, like, I don't know if I just got used to it or what, but I feel like I'm not seeing that as much as I was. So I don't know what changed, or if it was just like my body naturally kind of moving and shifting water and fat and all that.
Well, it's not like you've had to get a whole new wardrobe of clothes by any means.
No, that is something that I was going to talk about, actually. I only have my phone here, by the way, because I have a list of things, but it keeps going off and distracting me. Clothes. Okay, there are a bunch of liars out there. They told me just keep wearing your leggings and don't spend money on maternity clothes and just wear big sweaters, and liars. All my leggings stink. They all dig in. They all are awful. I have one pair of Lululemon leggings, and I only have that pair because someone gave them to me as a gift because I refuse to spend that much on leggings. But they're amazing, and I understand why people buy them. And they've been amazing through the pregnancy as well. And then I went to Target and got another pair of leggings, and like these pants, like I have a couple pair of like jeans now, of like pregnancy jeans. Go out and buy yourself some stinking maternity pants, please.
Yeah.
Maternity pants, maternity leggings, like you will feel like a whole new human.
And it's just because it's not cutting in on you?
Yeah,
That's the
because
only
it just like cuts in, or it's just way too tight. And like if I wear something that does not fit right, like he will move around until I take them off, or until I like roll it down or something, but he does not like it.
He's picky on his jeans.
Yeah.
Unlike me. What else have you noticed as far as just anything else off the top of your head? Different from first trimester. Your appetite's been pretty solid the whole way through, except for like that one little stint where you were feeling nauseous in first trimester. Mm-hmm. Second trimester, you've been eating totally fine.
Yep.
Let's talk about that for a second.
Weight gain too.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been gaining about 1 pound a week, which is pretty normal. 1 to 2 pounds a week is normal. We talked to my midwife about that just to make sure I was like on track. And she was like, yep, you're doing great. You're doing fantastic. Like I'm consistently gaining like the same amount each time I go to my appointment. So it's a good feeling. And
you're tracking your macros.
Yep.
Just so if anybody hadn't heard the first trimester video podcast, she's been strict keto the whole time. Hasn't deviated once. I mean, the most carbs you've had have probably been like 30 grams total carbs from like berries and stuff.
Yeah, I think like 30, 35, especially right when I was getting sick. But that was because I was eating like flackers with peanut butter to like try to keep things down. I had a couple berries. Yogurt has carbs in it.
Yeah, so just like all the trace carbs adding up.
Yeah,
no
it
more
wasn't
than 35
like
total.
Yeah, it wasn't like I was going out and eating a bunch of carbs.
Yeah. And now with the second trimester, your average caloric intake has been right around what?
I think, well, so I just did a full day of eating video on our YouTube, but if I usually only track my food up until lunch, and then I don't really track for dinner because I know that by dinner time I've already hit enough protein and stuff for the day. So dinner is kind of up and down, but I would say probably usually between 28 and 3,000.
28 and 3,000. That's probably about what I'm at right now, which is kind of crazy.
But I mean, before I got pregnant, I was eating between like 23 and 2,500. So I've only really increased 300 to 500 if you look at it like, so I haven't like increased crazy significantly. It's just a little bit at a time, and some days are higher, some days are lower, but it's within like a 200 calorie range probably.
And your fat ratio has been around 70% of your calories coming from fat?
Yeah,
roughly?
about 70%, which is normal for me. just all the time. Usually between like 69 and 72 is where I usually land. And lately, my carbs have been lower. So the first trimester, I allowed myself like 30, 35, and now I try to stick between 20, 25.
Yeah, so super low on the total carbs, pretty high on the calories, getting in plenty of fat, plenty of protein, not gaining an obsessive amount of weight at all, staying super active, training every day.
And I'm doing a challenge with my girls on the Facebook page, like the Lady Savage Facebook page. And we started with 2 miles a day, 5 days a week for a full week. And then we went to 3 miles, 4 miles. And this week we're at 5 miles. And we're just walking it. But it's one, it's time consuming. And two, as I'm getting heavier, I'm noticing like it's getting a little bit harder. But I'm still increasing that and still rocking it, doing just fine.
Your HRV has been in the tank, but your HRV is always in the tank.
My HRV is awful. I don't know how to make it better. I've tried literally everything, so I don't know what's wrong with me. But I feel fine, so I usually just go off of the way I feel rather than what the thing says. Even my Oura Ring stopped working, like stopped charging, and so I got a new Oura Ring, and I was like, ha. Now it's going to say my HRV is perfect, and it's still awful. So, well,
my Oura Ring is totally like dead. It has been for months, but I've got a new one shipping to me. So I'm going to see if my HRV is high or low, and see if it's like an isolated incident or if both of our HRVs are bad. Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder why.
Your HRV isn't bad, though. Your sleep's really bad.
My HRV has never been
17.
Great. Yeah, yours is really, really bad. That's really bad. So yeah, we gotta get that dialed in and figured out. But you feel great.
Yeah, I feel fine. That's the thing.
And your heart rate itself is fine.
Yep, it's great. It's slightly elevated because of pregnancy, but other than that, it's still high 60s, and that's it.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to listen to the baby's heartbeat.
Yeah.
So every time I go to the midwife, which is like every month right now, when does that switch to weekly? Or is it bi-weekly?
Next week. Yeah.
It goes to weekly or bi-weekly?
Oh, bi-weekly. Yeah. We've been seeing her every 4 weeks, and now we'll start seeing her every other week.
Yeah. And then every time we go, you do a urinalysis to, what is that for?
Just checking for like bacteria, any sort of sign for like blood or ketones too. They'll check for ketones in your urine, and just making sure you don't have any like infections or anything.
So they do that. They get your scale weight. They check she checks your pulse, and she
like
checks
blood pressure.
Yep, blood pressure, and then she does a not an ultrasound, a Doppler on the baby.
She'll stop doing the Doppler, and we'll start doing a fetal scope now.
Yeah, going forward, that's like the next time you visit.
Yeah, I think it's this next one.
But when they do the Doppler, you hear the heartbeat of the baby, which is pretty cool because. I mean, it was like super faint the first time. Like I was like, I'm not sure I heard that. Like leave it on there a little bit longer so I can confirm. But now it's like she gets it dialed in and boom, you hear the heartbeat. It's pretty undeniable. So.
Yeah, she finds it like immediately.
Yeah.
This last time he was head down. I was like, stay there, buddy.
Yeah.
I don't think he has because he's doing like cartwheels.
Yeah. Let's talk about, so one new thing that we both did with this second trimester is we took birth classes every week.
Yep.
For 4 weeks. We signed up. It was like $250 or something.
Yeah, $250.
$250 for 4 1 day a week sessions. So 4 sessions basically. I said that weird. And each session was about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And it's like a small group at someone's home that's been doing this for years. And there was like, I don't know, 5 couples, I guess.
Yeah, something like that.
And I don't want to talk bad about her practice at all, but I don't really feel like either of us got much out of it.
Yeah. So let's talk about the whole method that we're following.
Yes, that.
Yeah. So the method that we're using is the Bradley method. Some people love it. I don't know anybody that actually hates it. So if you hate it, sorry. But really,
define that.
Yeah, really, all that the Bradley method is it's just a natural birthing process. So not using medications, not, doing everything in the most natural sense that you can, finding different ways to deal with pain and different positions that you can be in. Really just trying to avoid having to go in for a C-section, having to have medication, having to do all these things. And there's nothing wrong with doing those things if that's what you choose, but that's not what we want to do. So we chose to go with the Bradley method. And there's a bunch of books, and I actually have a photo there that I want to, people have been asking for like resources and stuff. So I'll read you guys the books that we are reading right now. But it's all using the Bradley method. And I really love the method. Like, I think it's a great method. My brother and sister-in-law used it. So I've known about it for 10 years. My niece is 10. That's their oldest. They've used it for all 4 kids. They've had home births. And I've actually had a lot of really sweet moms reach out to me, and they've all pretty much used the Bradley method. If they're at home, birthing center, or hospital, you can use it in any of those situations, and it helps you prepare yourself for kind of what you're going to deal with when it comes to medication, and how to talk to doctors, how to find the right people to work with, advocating for yourself, so on and so forth. So anyways, there's a bunch of classes. They have like the Bradley classes, and I don't want to talk about it either. We didn't really love it.
I think to preface this, we don't think we really got much out of it because we've been doing a bunch of homework on our own prior to. Like, if somebody,
I think she probably did a great job.
Yeah.
For people who had no idea what they were getting into.
Yeah, like if somebody has no clue, is not in the health and nutrition space, is not in the physical mobility space, is not diving deeper into like home births and pregnancy in general, and just going in totally blind, I think would be an amazing resource for them.
Yeah.
For someone that is, into that, like we've been. It's pretty much all stuff that we already knew, or more or less common sense.
Yeah. And you guys have no idea how much I love birth. Like, it's kind of weird. I like love it. I've literally looked up every single thing about it. I've watched so many women give birth, like on videos and stuff. I just think it's like such a beautiful process, and I'm like in love with it. I'm in love with that. I'm in love with breastfeeding. I just think it's all so like perfectly, wonderfully made. And I don't know. I'm like pretty passionate about it. Like I find myself leaning into that a lot, and like following people who also are very passionate about it and things like that. So I do think that that's probably why we felt maybe we didn't get as much out of it. And even there was one girl that was there that was just like, I just signed up because my sister said to do it.
Yeah.
And so I think they probably didn't have any idea maybe what they were doing, what their birth plan would look like, anything like that. And I feel like some people didn't even know if they should hire a doula or fire their doctor, or, all those things. And I'm like, let's go. So
yeah. I will say this though. I don't think that we learned this from that class, but in diving deeper like we have, I didn't realize how much is kind of forced on you by default in the conventional medical setting that is not so much forced on you, doing a home birth.
It's wild.
Yeah, like it's kind of trippy. What's it called? So like the third phase after the baby's been born, when you birth the placenta, that is supposed to be a very natural process in which your body is contracting, and then that placenta just comes out as it should in nature.
You're still contracting for hours, even days after you have the baby, but your body naturally contracts that out.
Yeah, and it normally comes out naturally within about an hour. Yep. So in that, like after the baby's born, like you want to have skin to skin contact, you want to do all this stuff, and you let that time pass for the placenta to come through as well. In the hospital setting, they'll oftentimes push on your midsection to massage that out, break apart all that tissue and fascia, and then pull on the umbilical cord to bring it out of there. And that leaves this. It's like pulling a scab off, basically. Which just seems like very unnatural process.
Yeah. If you don't know, the placenta is attached to the uterine wall. So when the placenta detaches, you have a huge plate-sized wound there, and so they're essentially ripping off the placenta. It's already coming off or detaching, but they're encouraging that. And I don't want to say too much because I'm not a medical professional, but it can cause you to hemorrhage more. It can cause more issues. And however, there are instances where you have a retained placenta and your placenta is not coming out naturally. That is very rare. Most people don't need to have it yanked out.
Yeah.
Most people will naturally birth the placenta, and it just there's so many things that so upset me.
And that's one of the reasons they do a lot of Pitocin in the conventional setting, right? From a clotting standpoint, right? To get your if you're having hemorrhaging from something like that, from the birth itself or from pulling out that placenta, that helps mitigate against that.
Yeah.
But is probably not necessary in the natural setting where you're just letting your body do its thing.
Yeah.
In a perfect world. So kind of crazy.
It is crazy.
And again, I've never had a baby. Clearly, don't plan on having a baby personally. So I'm just kind of learning as I go with Crystal and what she's digging into. But when you start, I mean, it's honestly so many parallels with what we've learned in nutrition. Like all the things that we are told about nutrition in the conventional setting that we have since learned to not necessarily be true. And you're seeing a lot of the same stuff take place with regard to birth and these things that we're conventionally kind of the path that we're not necessarily forced, but highly encouraged to follow versus what is naturally done, in biology. It's why do we need to keep adding all these, obstacles that aren't really even necessary?
Yeah.
So
if you follow the dollar, you'll find it. That's
yeah.
I mean, honestly, as soon as you start one intervention, it causes them to start the next intervention and the next intervention and the next intervention. And that's why some doctors have a 72% cesarean section rate, and some doctors have a 5%. It just depends on how much they're willing to intervene and how much you're willing to let them as well.
Yeah, and to be clear, I don't want to paint the conventional medical system in a negative light, in its totality, because at the end of the day, I mean, a C-section, having that technology and ability to perform a C-section has saved countless mothers and babies' lives. So that's a miracle in and of itself. But I don't think it's optimal to just default to that. And I feel like a lot of people do default to that.
Yeah. And I was a C-section baby, and that's just my story, and we may end up having to go to the hospital. However, we've learned a lot about the things that we do and do not want in the hospital, what hospital policies are versus what you're legally allowed to do and not do. And I kind of know it like the back of my hand. There are still things that we have in place that we want to happen or to not happen, even having to give birth in a hospital, even if I have to have a C-section, even if we have to have, some sort of medical intervention, there are certain things that I will ask to be done first before the next thing, before what they generally just jump to. So there's just so much. There's so very much. And I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm saying that I'm right for me and my decision and my body and this baby and all of that. So if anyone's done anything different, again, we're not saying that you're wrong or bad or whatever. One of my sisters, she's only had C-sections. That's okay. One of the other sisters has only had home birth. That's totally fine. Everyone's going to have their own story. There's just certain things that I have chosen to do and look at and into. And I think that's important to share because I think a lot of people don't even know that there's options.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like, just speaking personally, before I started even diving into this with you, I didn't have a clue as to what the possibilities were. So when I think, okay, we're going to have a baby, that automatically, the picture in my mind automatically becomes, okay, we're going to sit in a hospital, or you're going to be in a bed, you're going to be in those stirrups, you're going to have a gown on, you're going to be drugged up, and we're going to have to tell them what we do and we don't want. It's going to be like a hassle because we may want things differently than what they default to.
They're probably not going to like us if we have to go.
Yeah, yeah. So that was kind of like what my expectation was, because that's just what I thought the only option was. But as we've dove deeper and deeper into this, and we've decided to go the route of the home birth, the midwife, minimal intervention, no drugs, et cetera, it's like, we're going to be at home. We're going to have some candles going. We're going to have a steak on the grill.
I don't know about that.
We're going to have, some music going. We're going to have, it's just like this chill vibe that I feel is going to be much more memorable and seen in a positive light. And I feel like that's how it should be,
Yeah. And then this is something else I had on my list. Just to be clear, we know it's not sunshine and rainbows. A lot of people hear what we want to do or what we desire to do, and feel the need to tell us all of the bad things that could potentially happen. And I don't think they do that as much to Robert as they do to me, because I'm the one having him. But
I don't know. When we told our folks, we told my folks that we're doing the home birth, the first thing they said was, what did Dad say? He's like, I don't know about that, son. I've given birth to cows before, and I've had to chain them up with the tractor to pull them out of there. And I'm like, all right, Dad. Well, I don't think we'll have to go that route with Crystal and the baby, but if so, you just bring the tractor.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. But a lot of people have opinions on what we're choosing to do, and that's okay. You're allowed to have your opinions, but you should probably keep them to yourself. I've chosen, I told Robert, I said from the very beginning, I know that everything's going to be just fine. No matter what the outcome is, no matter if everything goes terribly, terribly wrong, I'm confident in the decisions that I've made and happy with the decisions that we've made. And same thing with breastfeeding. We definitely intend to breastfeed. I will do everything. I know that it's hard. I've seen many, many, many people do it. I have tons and tons of nieces and nephews. I do understand the struggles that come with a natural birth, with a home birth, with breastfeeding, with all of that stuff. I'm just up for the challenge. And I think that the negativity, I don't know what it is with people wanting to tell you how awful it could be, or like all the things that could
haven't
potentially.
Gotten much of that on my end.
I know, it's because you're a guy.
You've been getting a lot of that?
I do. It's very frustrating. I usually respond very kindly, like, thanks for sharing your story, or everyone's experience is different, or something just real nonchalant, because to me, I want to keep that negativity out, because I'm heading into the last trimester here, and I'm ready to just have positivity placed into my life. And if you're going to be negative, then you just don't get to be there.
Yeah.
Because I cannot allow it to be there. I can't allow other people's fears to be put into my mind, because I don't have fear about it. I'm excited. I trust my midwife. I trust Robert. I trust the second midwife that's going to be there. I trust the process, and I have faith that it's all going to work out, and I just don't have any fear.
Yeah. I think that's the best way to be about it, and for me, I stop and think, like, there's all these crazy things that could happen, and that's definitely a possibility.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're super healthy. I'm super healthy. The baby's super healthy, and people have been having babies naturally for a heck of a lot longer than they have had them unnaturally. So I feel like the odds are probably pretty good in our favor.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at with it. What else we got? Anything else as far as the second trimester goes? You want to start diving into these questions?
Yeah.
So we asked questions on the Instagram, and people submitted their questions for the podcast. So what we got?
All right. So I'm going to have to skip through these, because I'm not sure. We've probably answered some of them. Workout changes, already did.
Check.
Nutrition. What are our appointments like? And you already kind of listed off what we do in the appointments.
Yeah.
The glucose test.
Yeah. So the cool thing about the midwife is you can waive whatever test you don't want. So we just waived the oral glucose test.
Okay, actually, with anyone, you can waive whatever test you want if you don't want it.
Yeah. And we're not saying you should not do the oral glucose test.
Yeah, we're not saying that
We're
at
not
all.
saying that. However, we are saying that with Crystal having been strict keto for 6 years, if she was to take in 89 grams of sugar, whatever it is, like pure glucose, she would fail that test because she would not respond like someone that's normally eating a lot of sugar on a regular basis. That does not mean that she's diabetic. That doesn't mean she's type 2 diabetic or pre-diabetic or any of that stuff. But
it's a very skewed test.
Yeah. And if you were to eat carbs, if you were to ingest more sugar for like a week or two prior to that test, then you would not fail that test. But like, we know you're not diabetic. So what's the point in eating sugar for 2 weeks just to pass this test that we know you don't even need? So,
and yeah. I'm never taking in that much sugar anyway. So for us, it doesn't make sense. They're testing that to see how you're responding to different amounts of food, and I don't ever eat that. So it was just not necessary, and my midwife was very supportive of that. And just because you work out and you eat good and you're thin does not mean you're going to pass it. It does not mean at all that you're going to pass it. Your body changes so much in pregnancy that it does not mean you're going to pass it. If you are not regularly checking your blood sugar or know your body really, really well, then maybe ask for an alternative, which we'll talk about in just a second. Ask for an alternative way of measuring. You don't have to do the oral glucose test in order to pass or fail, especially if you're on a ketogenic diet. A lot of people will fail it. But you can ask for, my midwife did like more of a natural glucose test. Like she offers it's the drink, but it doesn't have any dyes, doesn't have any chemicals, doesn't have any, it's all a natural product. So if I were going to do a test, I would ask for that one. But you can also, a lot of doctors will let you just check your blood sugar throughout the day for like a week or two straight and make sure that you're not having huge spikes. I ended up getting a CGM. My midwife did not ask me to do it, but I was kind of curious myself. So I purchased a CGM, had it on for 2 weeks, and everything was perfect and wonderful and just fine.
Your baseline number is like 70 milligrams per deciliter, I think.
Yeah, yep.
So totally within normal healthy range.
Yeah, so I'm not being, what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
I'm not trying to say that it doesn't matter to check things. I'm not trying to be, there's a word I can't think of.
Contrarian.
Yeah, I'm not looking to say that I don't have to test it, I don't have to check it. I'm saying that I did do it, and I did things that I didn't have to do simply because I think it's important to test those things. I think it's important to see where your body's at, but I just didn't want to do it the typical way because I am like that.
She is feisty too. What else we got?
Okay, how I feel in my skin. I thought that was a good one. With all of the changes that happen to your body, how do you feel in your skin? And my belly is itchy. That's one thing I feel in my skin. But I have been using like different ointments. Not ointments.
Yeah, you haven't had any stretch marks or anything?
Nope, no stretch marks so far. Fingers crossed, those stay gone.
What's that stuff that you put on every night?
So one of my friends bought me what's called Waxoline, and I don't know if there's several different kinds or not, but this one is like super, super clean. But it's almost like a Vaseline texture, but it's made from beeswax.
I hate it. She'll be over there rubbing that stuff on, and then I'll forget that she did, so I'll go over there to put my hand on her belly, and it's like, oh my gosh.
And then also Ellen bought me that sweet almond oil, and it's a really nice bottle of it. And she bought that for me in the first trimester. And I've just been putting it on my skin every night. And I just put it on my belly. Sometimes I'll put it on my hips. I'll put it on my chest. And anywhere that's going to grow significantly. I already have stretch marks, like on my outside of my hips, on the inside of my thighs. So I'm not really worried about it. They don't bother me. I just would prefer to kind of keep them off of my belly if I can. But again, I'm not overly concerned about it. But it is nice. I'm going to try to moisturize my skin and stuff. So I have those two options. But, how I feel in my skin. I feel like I feel pretty good. I like it. I think, it's fine.
I still call you sexy every day.
There is definitely times where I'm like, wow, I feel huge. It's not really in a bad way. It's more just like, whoa, I'm changing a lot. This is happening right now because I don't remember the last time my stomach was flat. I can't even remember.
The ab pose is a little hard right now.
Yeah, definitely a little hard. But other than that, I feel really good. I think if I wasn't staying active and eating well, I would feel terrible.
Yeah. I feel like that is the huge thing right there. Like if people who are normally active, probably people that aren't as well, but especially if you're normally active and like confident in how you look, and then you stop doing that, then you get pregnant, you put on more weight than you necessarily should, and then I feel like that would be a super slippery slope. Whereas if you're continuing to be active like you are, it's like, look, I'm doing everything I can. I'm staying on top of my nutrition. I'm staying on top of my training. What I look like now, what weight I gain is just par for the course of being pregnant, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I was kind of getting a little anxious about my weight. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm gaining more than I want to right now. But honestly, I think it was like this last week or so, I kind of just said, I'm doing everything right. I'm doing everything right. He's growing perfectly. We're 2/3 of the way there, and we're only, we're 20 pounds up. That's very healthy. Just in water weight, your placenta, your breasts growing, all of those things, you can assume for a 30-pound increase. And it depends. Like if you were already on the heavier side, you can expect to gain maybe a little bit less. This is not for everyone. And if you're on the thinner side, you can actually expect to gain a little bit more. Your body prepares itself also for breastfeeding afterwards. You have to have some fat stores. It's okay to have fat stores. So if you don't have as much body fat to begin with, you might gain a little bit extra. It's not a bad thing. And everyone's going to gain it differently as well. Like I might be holding more water than the next person. I might have more fat. It just depends on how my body's going to process everything, and that's okay.
That's okay.
It's okay.
What else we got for questions?
We've got books and resources I suggest. So anyone that's asked, I've just told them what we're doing. So we're doing the Bradley method. I think it's wonderful. And
what's the name of that book?
Yeah, that's why I have it pulled up here. So we have Natural Childbirth, the Bradley Way. And then we have Husband Coach Childbirth. And then there's two more that I'm going to suggest. I have not read them, but I have had nothing but good information about these two. I'm not going to pronounce her name right, but
let me try.
I'll zoom in so you can. I think I can say it right.
Ina May's?
Maybe it is Ina's.
Ina May's Guide to Childbirth?
Yeah, let me see it. Guide to Childbirth. I have not read that one, but I've heard it's really, really good. And then the La Leche League, International, the Womanly Art of Breastfeeding. I have actually been to one of those classes with my sister-in-law and was wonderful. And I have not read the book yet, but I have heard every woman that has ever suggested it is like, this is the best book you'll ever read. So those are my suggestions if you're looking for any book suggestions. I do think that the Bradley classes are beneficial. I do think they are beneficial. If you aren't already a crazy person like me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even spending that money, I'm not mad that we spent it, because now I know even more that I knew.
Yeah.
It was just like confirmation of I knew all of this. Now I can feel even more confident. Okay, so the baby flutters. So we went from tiny, tiny baby flutters. And I told you in the last video, I was like, you can't tell them that. They're going to think I'm crazy. Who feels the baby that early? And now he's like doing cartwheels in MMA in my belly. So I just think it's funny that we just went from these tiny, tiny baby flutters to like full on kicks. And then in the middle of the second trimester, Robert was able to feel him moving as well, which was really cool.
Yeah. He's doing his teeping, as Chip calls it. He's doing his round kicks, side kicks, switch kicks, getting all the kicks in.
We already talked about clothes.
Talking about clothes? Oh, your clothes.
Oh, the one thing that made me sick.
The electrolyte?
Yeah, we didn't talk about that. So I had not been sick my entire second trimester, and I hadn't been sick weeks up to this. But
that was in the second trimester?
Yes.
The electrolytes got you sick? Huh.
Yeah. And I was taking electrolytes because I was like, man, I just probably should. And I was having some like cramps in my calves and stuff. So I was going to take some electrolytes, and I threw up, and it was pretty intense. A couple of days in a row, and I was like, the only thing that it could be is electrolytes. So I took those out, and I didn't throw up anymore. So that was a really weird thing, and it wasn't the taste, because I would drink it, and it would be like an hour later, and then I would just get sick. But even when I was a kid, my family used to drink like Airborne, and that used to make me sick too. So I think it must be something like too many vitamins or too many electrolytes.
But you're still getting electrolytes in. You're still salting your foods, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. And I'm going to buy the upgraded formulas potassium here in the near future. I take the Allie Miller's Relax and Regulate Magnesium every day. So I take that every day, and I salt my food like crazy. And then I also get potassium in just from my food and stuff too. But I think I am going to probably supplement a little bit. But, man, those electrolyte powders, they got me.
What else we got on there? Any other questions?
Our ultrasound experience.
We just had the one. That was first trimester, right?
That was second. That was at 20 weeks. It's so funny.
When does that start? When does second trimester start?
14.
So we talked about that on the gender reveal, though.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. Weight gained, aches and pains.
I feel like your back's been a little
my
painful.
back's been a little bit hurting. It's interesting, though, because a lot of women have lower back pain, and mine is like my mid-upper back. And I don't know. I think it must just be like my posture, or just like the center of gravity is changing so much that there's just like one spot that really hates me so much. But I do pretty good. I just make Robert use the Theragun on me.
That thing's been super helpful.
Yeah, it has been really helpful. And then the last thing was just the baby's room. Like, have we...
Baby's room's done. We got it all painted. You got it all painted. Put the crib together. We got the rocking chair in there. All the rocking chairs painted. We got the toy box that I had when I was a little kid painted, cleaned up, and put in there. We hung a bunch of stuff on the walls. It's kind of like this Indian aero outdoorsy natural theme, I would say. Went through a whole bunch of books, all my childhood books. We cleaned all those up. I'm actually super excited to read those kids' books again. I might learn something, like Hop on Pop and all that good stuff. But some good Dr. Seuss.
The room is pretty much done. Like, we like to keep things super simple and like not have a lot of clutter.
Yeah.
So there wasn't a lot to do. Like, there's one shelf and it's full of books, and then there's one little basket thing which is gonna have like diaper stuff in it, and then like his crib. And there's a few things that we need. Like, the crib is there, but we need to get sheets for the crib and things like that. So that'll all come. And we have a ton of clothes.
Yeah.
It's interesting because we have a bunch of clothes, but I think it's like newborn to 1 year. So it feels like we have a bunch of clothes, but I feel like we're going to have a newborn and we're going to be like, he has 3 outfits because there's so many like other sizes that I feel like we're going to need to run out and grab some clothes.
Littlest Sikes onesie that's going to be
I know. It's really cute. Our friends bought us this onesie that says the littlest Sikes, and it's so cute. It's so tiny. I hope he's tiny because I was not a tiny baby.
Yeah, it'll be good. We'll cram him in there for a picture or something.
Yeah.
It'll be good.
cram him in there.
We're also going to get some super cool maternity pictures and newborn pictures. Shout out to Marcus Aurelius Anderson and his wife Rachel. They're hooking us up with some pictures, so we're gonna do that here soon.
Yep, we're gonna do the maternity pictures, which is so nice because we are not the type of people that would schedule this stuff, and she was just like, "We're gonna do this thing."
The only time we've ever gotten professional pictures is from bodybuilding shows.
Yeah,
and then, the wedding, I guess.
Yeah, the wedding, but that was it. Like, we didn't do engagement pictures. We've not we've never done any of that. So this will be our first real time to do it, but we're gonna do the maternity pictures here in a couple weeks. And then we already have the newborn pictures, like the dates kind of set out for when we'll do that. It's exciting.
Yeah, it'll be good. I'm excited. Anything else? Second trimester specific?
Not that I can think of. I feel like this is the easiest trimester. I feel like everything is kind of smooth sailing, workouts, nutrition, like everything is just like remains kind of the same, and then the third trimester kind of gets a little bit rocky again. I am curious, when are we going to do the third trimester?
The video? The podcast?
Yeah, because
I was thinking like in labor, we could just kind of like have Chip come to the house, get the media set up. That sound good to you, Chip?
because if it's afterwards, then he's going to be here.
Yeah, we'll just put him on the table. We'll just put him right in the middle, like in a little.
Try to find a time where he's sleeping, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like we definitely need it to be after the birth, though, right? Because that would be part of the relevant part of the podcast.
I would think so, because we're gonna do like the fourth trimester, which is like the 3 months after you give birth, and I wouldn't want to wait that long because we're gonna want to tell like the birth story and stuff. We might do a YouTube video that's like tells of the birth story and everything.
We just like let Dylan watch the kid for an hour or something while we're recording.
I feel like he would be afraid. He'd be like keeping it in the car seat and just like.
Yeah, that'd be good. I'm excited. What else? Anything else? Second trimester or not so much?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Anything else just in general? We got this video is going to go out on Monday, the 21st.
Yeah, something like that. Mm-hmm.
It is currently what day? The 8th? Yeah. We'll have just started the third trimester when this video goes out. We got a new keto break flavor coming up on the 20th. So they will be live by the time y'all listen to this. So Macadamia Madness, the first time we've launched a new flavor in over a year. And the lowest carb count of all the bricks.
When they listen to this, it will have just launched yesterday.
Yeah, so it's going to be launching on the 20th. This is going to go live on the 21st. So if you're listening to this and have not yet snagged some Macadamia Madness keto bricks, you got to jump on it because they're not going to last long. 8 grams total carbs, and they're delicious.
They're delicious.
Yeah. So that's a big exciting thing.
I have been downing the bricks.
Yeah.
Like the second trimester has been like brick heaven.
You like eat a whole brick a day now, right?
Yeah, it's been pretty intense.
Because before you were pregnant, you were eating a quarter brick a day, maybe
like
a half.
Quarter to a half.
And now you're just
downing
screwing up all of our inventory. You're eating all the bricks.
I'm not. I'm using the employee bricks.
So yeah, that's been pretty cool to see. Your appetite's been good.
Yeah.
What else? You've got a deal going on with your coaching. So LadySavage.com coaching. You said, talk about your little discount for the month.
So I kind of looked back at the last few years, and my highest coaching month each year has been February. And I was talking to my friend Sunny, and I was like, yeah, it's kind of crazy, like every February. And I was trying to think of why that was. And I think a lot of people want to start the new year off strong. They start doing things on their own, start focusing on nutrition or fitness or whatever. And then they realize, I might need some help. By like February, they're kind of like, I might need some help, or I might need some accountability to keep this going. Some people don't. Some people, keep doing their thing, and it's great. But other people, I think, do notice that after a little bit of time, they're like, all right, let's pick it up a little bit. So February's been my highest coaching month, so I decided that I was just going to do a discount for the month of February because heck, why not? So I'm offering 25% off of all of my services. So there's workout programs, there's nutrition like one-on-one nutrition coaching, one-on-one fitness coaching, and then there's a bundle with those two together with a discounted price. And then there's just a consultation call. So if you just want to do like a one-off call just to make sure that you feel like you're doing things right and whatnot. So everything is 25% off of the website right now, but you have to use the code LadySavageGift.
Yeah.
And it's only through the month of February, so it ends on the 28th.
And is at ladysavage.com.
Yeah.
And for anybody curious, you plan on coaching throughout the pregnancy, the birth, and everything.
Yep. Yeah, we kind of have, Robert and I have like a kind of a plan or schedule of how we want things to go. And all my current clients know what my deal is, what to expect, and all of that. So, yeah, we're just going to keep doing it, keep going.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like for the first 2 or 3 weeks post-birth, like you're not going to be doing a lot of leaving the house or anything. So
yeah, I'll mostly be home.
Yeah, being stuck in there, recovering, like you're going to want to do something. So having the clients to work with, communicate with is going to be good, I think.
Yeah, some adult conversation.
Yeah, yeah. Anything else on the horizon that we want to talk about? Nothing comes to mind?
I don't think so. I think that was it.
Got some pretty big things with the baby. Pretty big things with the baby.
Yeah, that's enough.
Yeah. Well, until the 3rd trimester video, I guess I'll talk to you later, babe. I'll talk to you before that video, though.
Oh, good. I hope so, because we're going to have a baby.
Yeah. So for anybody that is tuning in for the first time, check out the 1st trimester video. Definitely stay tuned for the 3rd trimester video when we talk about the birth. Make sure you're following Crystal on all platforms. Lady Savage is her handle. LadySavage.com is her site, and she's amazing. I can attest to that. So, yeah, that's all she wrote for this one. Love you, babe, and love you all listening.